All right, so let's get right into this video. I wanted to talk about more on the self persona and ego. Now, there's a certain amount of exploitation when you reach unique individuals or people or individuals in unique circumstances, such as I was at for a long time. To be fair though, for most of that time, I was. I was doing pretty good with my circumstances being the way they were. I was still kind of doing things well for quite a while, and then there was some time that was quite annoying, I would say, or frustrating. So this is the point, right? If you find somebody who is truly an individual, individual to the point that they really are singled out. Like they don't correspond with any type of person. They don't have a type of person, and wherever they go, they're a single person. Now, to a certain extent, when you're connected with the world, like you're free, like your persona and ego is free, and it's connected with the world. You do get some benefits out of that, even when you're not really even doing that as well as you could do, or I doing not as you even not even 1% as good as I'm doing now, and still able to fly. Like to have a good life, basically, or an entertaining and fun life, for a young person especially. Those are old days, though. Obviously, I can't go back to those days. I matured out of those days, and what I found entertaining and fun at that time is not what I find entertaining and fun at this time. But the idea is that even just being connected while being that individual, there still were a lot of benefits, and I was still doing very well. And now fast forward, having 7.5 years of dead time, that's when it really got bad, and I would say with the exception of about, a few years, some good actually came out of that bank robbery. Some good actually came out with linking with other people. But, I was only doing good while I was linked with, and once I was not linked with those people and they were gone, it kind of went back to being pretty bad, At the same time, I did move in a bit of a bad direction for myself. I was kind of looking for marriage and things like that, and that pretty much dragged me into a much worse world, in which I was able to look back and understand and see what life is really supposed to be like versus what somebody tells you, and knowing firsthand for myself what kind of life I should be leading and what kind of general direction I should be having. But the worst was the last 3 years, being alone and not even connected, like being up in Rikers Island, and being that guy that's given the worst position in Rikers, or in places like Rikers all over the world. You got someone who's so deep in the hole and it's so bad that they're just stuck up in there 24 hours a day, living shitty and everything, Even if I physically wasn't there, but that's where my persona and ego was there. So naturally, that's where myself was too, technically, right? Myself is in that position too. So being up in Rikers by yourself, the only advantage to that is that, when you're up in Rikers by yourself and you're in that worst position that you can be, when people disrespect you, and that's something I didn't have. Now, when I was connected, people would disrespect me, and I would just take it on the chin. I would let them disrespect. I would take it on the chin, but I would still be, I'd still have my full-time job. I'd still be going out to bars. I'd still be nightclubs. I'd still be meeting people, meeting girls, meeting guys that were, connecting with guys and trying to learn from them, and then connecting with girls and dating them and stuff, and having that kind of life, it wasn't all that bad, it was pretty good. But when you're up in Rikers, it's just automatic, somebody disrespects you and there's an immediate reaction, you know what I mean? And it's serious, because you're that guy, you're the worst guy right now. You're up in Rikers in the worst place, and you are the worst guy there, and every jail has its, or prison, every jail has its worst guy. You know what I mean? And you are that worst guy, and people understand. Guys know that you're in the hole. Guys know how bad you have it. You know, and the fact that someone's gonna disrespect you or try to ride you like a pony is like the stupidest thing they can do, you know, on that level. You know, there's guys willing to just, you know, someone's being disrespected and they will catch a smack right there. You know what I mean? They will get dealt with right there. You know what I mean? That's all that the guy has, because he's so far in the hole, so far up in Rikers. He's got nothing right now, no connection to nobody, no nothing. He's in dead time and his life is dead, basically. You know what I mean? This guy is suffering every day. And I suffered that way for over 7 years. And it was quite some suffering. Now, I talked to you about, I think it was 6 weeks ago that I said, you know, I felt like or 5 or 6 weeks ago, that I felt like I'd come out finally out of that dead time. You know, maybe I would, like I was technically out, but I was still basically like signed to Rikers. Like Rikers hadn't left my contract yet. You know, Rikers was still like, no, we might have let him, we let him live out there, but we're still holding his contract in Rikers. You know, he's still Rikers property, no matter what you say. And it makes sense, because, you know, you're with Rikers for over 7 years. You think just because they let you out that you're done from Rikers? You're not signed out with them yet. You know, and I feel like even Rikers gets some kind of benefit, you know. And if Rikers gets a benefit off of a guy like me and a guy in that situation, you best believe the government is getting some kind of benefit out of that person too. Believe that. You know, even the government is getting some kind of benefit out of that guy right now, because if Rikers is a government building, and if Rikers is getting an advantage off that guy, so is the government. The government's so the fact that they let you out doesn't mean that they let your contract go. Now, I told you that it felt like, I think I would say about was it about 2 weeks ago, it was like, you know, and I knew it, and I already knew the date. Like, I knew that July 30th that my contract was gonna be released from Rikers. I just didn't know what time. I didn't know when it was gonna be. I didn't know how it was gonna be. And I know it sounds funny, but I felt like just before 9:30 a.m. on July 30th, they released my contract, right? I'm out of Rikers and everything, and it's only been a couple of weeks, and it was only like, I feel like being caged in Rikers. You know, I was only alive and connected to a certain type of extent, kind of like from an outside perspective, you know. And then it was like being born, you know, like finally, it's like the earth, or not the, but like it was like being born and becoming an actual person, you know, living and breathing, you know, on the level of human being. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt just recently. I mean, I would say, I don't know, like a week or so, 5 or 6 days ago, you know, 5, 6 days, a week ago, that I felt like I was born. So it's relatively a new feeling. Being a real person, having real person emotions, and having a real person life, versus being so handicapped and so disadvantaged and so disconnected that, you know, that you're just, you have nothing going on, right? So to have that is a good feeling. Now, where was I going with this, with the self and ego? So, you gotta understand, you know what, and one of the commons, and this happened like 7 months ago. I always say 7.5 months ago was when you know, I really became like myself. Even my face had matured into itself, and my face really, you know, as it became more genuine into my genuine face, as my features matured into what they really were, you know, it became quite obvious that I was Latin, you know, and that's the way the world is going. Like he's Latin, man. That's the way it is. That's the way it always was. But they wanted to do some kind of cover art and face art, and everybody wanted to say that I was in their race or whatnot. And I think it's very clear that I'm not in certain races, you know. I'm sure there's at least one race that I'm not in. You know, and if there's more, there might be more, I don't know, in the future, but I know for sure that I'm not in one race. You know what I mean? And that's a persona and ego, you know. And the self, you know, the self is connected to the persona and ego. You know what I mean? So the persona and ego, you know, in many places where you know, because if you're an individual and I'm benefiting off of being connected, it's kind of a fake connection. So it's like, who am I not genuinely? Let's say some spoiled little kids, 1,000 spoiled little kids, they go, oh, these are his connections. These are him, right? And I get treated like a spoiled little kid too, but, but that's not genuinely who I am. Now for me to be born, I can say that I'm genuinely somebody, right? And that just allows me to be myself because I'm connected to what I'm generally am out there. And I'm pretty sure that my persona, self, and ego is at a very high level. Even if I was to compare it with a lot of people, I would say my persona and ego is probably one of quite a very elite level. I would say it's at a very elite level. So for me to be born and be there, it's a good experience. You know what I mean? Is there anything else that I want to say? No, that's pretty much what I wanted to say, But it's genuine, right? It's not like I'm an individual, I'm in that position where I'm not connected and they connect me to like a bunch of spoiled kids and I get treated like I get the advantage of it and they get the advantage of it as well. And I guess they're able to say that they're an icon like me, that they are an icon as well, or that they can, what I mean? I guess that's the whole benefit of it. But today is a different world, there's no more Rikers. There's no more not being really in the world, because now really being in the world, rather than being in the world through somebody I'm dating or through somebody that I'm working with or whatever the case is, whatever kind of work I'm doing, rather than be connected through that, which I had been before, but rather than be connected through that, I'm actually connected through myself as a genuine person, as a genuine individual, genuinely being connected to my genuine persona, self, and ego. And that is a great feeling, and it's a real feeling, and it's a real thing, and I'm glad it's here. I mean, obviously, nothing happens right away overnight, but I mean, I already do feel like myself, and that feeling keeps me a little bit happier, a little bit feeling a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit better. Not crazy, not Rikers crazy. You know what I mean? The longer I was in Rikers, the more crazy that it'll make you. The longer you're in there, the more crazy it'll make you. So, but to hold that position for that long is like a record. You got to be the best of the best of the worst of the worst to be able to hold it that long. And you know what I mean, and to still be there. And to still be there, it's a really special thing. Anyways, I said a lot in here. I'm not going to cover every little hole and every little point, but I feel like that was good enough. If I come back with a second video, maybe it'll be just to supplement this video, kind of make sure that I don't lose anything there. So I'm done, and this video is over.